Hello traders everyone, my name is Gregor Horvat and welcome to our new video Surfing Daily Trades where I'll look at the most interesting developments for this week. This video has been brought to you by Orbex. I will look at the Euro Dollar, Cable, Aussie, Crude Oil, DAX and Bitcoin. So Euro Dollar is currently trading to the downside despite still very strong inflation in the Europe. Just been released today. 7% is year on year, same as forecasted, and it's up from 6.9 in the previous reading. Monthly, on a monthly scale, we are down to 0.6 from 0.9 on the previous reading. So looks like still inflation is pretty high, but we know that inflation is a global problem, and that's why maybe these inflation figures are more dollar oriented as well, because as you know, speculators are wondering what Fed may do. So if the inflation is also still in the US, the major problem, if the Fed will be hawkish, then obviously other central banks somehow could be in the similar situation. So the whole story around the inflation still could be seen through the US dollar. Also keep in mind that last week, despite hawkish Bank of England, what we have seen is that US dollar was stronger than pound despite Bank of England raising rates. Okay, so looks like the dollar is very strong. Maybe that's also something to do with debt ceiling optimism, because obviously when we all assume that they will approve the new budget, so obviously this has some positive impact on the US dollar, which is currently moving to the upside across the board. We are also seeing US yields coming higher as well, so that's definitely something that is driving these markets around. Now, looking at the euro dollar pair from an Elliott wave perspective, we are seeing a pretty nice reversal to the downside for the last few weeks. After the market just temporarily moved here to a new high of this year, breaking these February levels. Now we are coming back to the downside. So in my opinion, this could be actually a top, and we could be headed much lower here for a wave C. Now to give you a much better, clearer presentation here, it's on a weekly scale actually, where I have these 5 waves up. Then you got wave A. You are now in a wave B rally. I mean, wave B rally could be finished and we can be expecting lower prices for a wave C. So actually we are looking and expecting for this corrective price pattern, okay, an ABC structure. So either this can be a flat, or maybe here it's also presented like an ABC correction, the zigzag, especially, which could be actually the case, because alternatively this could even be wave 5 top if wave 4 was a flat. Okay, so in either case, I think we are still seeing a room for more potential weakness here on the euro dollar. And if we look on a daily chart, I think that very big support for this year could still be around 105. In fact, it was 104.80 or 90 level being retested here back at the start of this year. Then once again we come back into this level very close to that area back in March. And obviously if we see another retest of these levels, I would be again looking for a bounce and maybe even a completion of this whole corrective decline from these recent swing highs. So in the short term, I think that euro could experience more weakness. It's not only because of the euro dollar. I mean, it's more because of the US dollar across the board. We are also seeing weak commodity currencies. We are also seeing a move to the downside here on cable as well, which came lower, as I said earlier, which came lower from since last week, when Bank of England, despite the hawkish Bank of England policy decision, we see market breaking decisively this lower trend line support of this wedge formation. So looks like that we can be headed back to the starting point here at 123.90. Sorry, 64. So we could be headed even lower here. Of course, there can be some intraday pullbacks, choppiness, and still if you suddenly rally, let's say 125.40, 125.60, still very important resistance for cable for this week before we see even lower prices. Okay, so I think that cable has reached an important top here, and that we could be in consolidation and even headed lower. Looking at the Aussie on a daily chart, I still think that this drop from the start of the year is still incomplete. This was a very strong drop, still only one leg to the downside followed by this three-wave recovery. So again, more weakness, in my opinion, could be in the cards. 61.8%, 78.6. These are the fibs that I'm looking for potential stabilization this year. And what I like so far about this Aussie price action is a very interesting spike here to a new swing high last week. Also, it was the same situation with Kiwi. So in the middle of the last week, we have seen a very nice bullish attempt, but then bear stepped in and actually caused a very significant reversal. More importantly, on Friday and the end of the week, last week, the prices finished here at those lows. So in my opinion, that's a pretty aggressive bearish reversal pattern, which indicates for more potential weakness. So of course, current intraday corrections can get a little bit more complex. So if we suddenly see a bounce 67, 67.30 is still potential resistance for this rally. Of course, economic activity in China is still not expanding like they expect. So they're looking for potentially even more stimulus. And this economic activity, which is still somehow very low in China, has definitely a bearish impact on Aussie. So we'll have to observe and watch what will be the situation in China. If their situation will improve, then obviously this could have a very positive impact on the Aussie. But from a technical perspective, I don't believe that Aussie will see any kind of a bullish price action while we are trading above 65 level. I still think that this has to be cleared out before we may much easier to find the support, I should say. Now, if we take a look on crude oil has seen a pretty nice reversal after this spike to the downside to new lows of this year. Notice that we are at very important, what I call about, it's a key level for this year, around 57 to $63 per barrel. Notice that we have seen a recent reversal to the downside, spike to a new low, despite OPEC decided to cut their production because they think that demand will decrease because of higher interest rates and the economic activity will slow down. So obviously they want to stabilize the prices. But normally when those institutions will try to stabilize the prices, this has only temporary positive impact on the markets. It's something similar like interventions with central banks. When we see maybe very strong move, immediate reaction, but then after the dust will settle, what we'll see is that actually we may see that the trend will resume in the direction that was happening before the institutions stepped in. So when OPEC decided to cut the production, I think they decided for May, for this month, we have seen a break to the upside, even some breakaway gap here. But then when dust has settled, then we have seen move to the downside. Okay, but now again, from an Elliott wave perspective, I think that we could be looking for potential bottom formation here and expecting more upside. What I like so far is on the intraday chart, very nice spike here from a new low, and this recovery can easily be counted in 5 waves. If I label this for you, you can clearly see this, that it can be 5 waves up. Let me also change the labelings here, blue or red. Okay, so this can be very nice 5 waves up, and you're now in a corrective wave too. So very nice support, 50%, 38.2%. Also trying to break this trend line, currently trading above it. So maybe some support will be seen now in the middle of the week, and I will be expecting more upside here by the end of the week. So the minimum upside potential, even if let's say that this will be only ABC recovery from that low rather than 5-wave movement, and we will see our resistance later, I still think that there can be a 77, 76 area seen in the next few weeks. Okay, while the market is definitely holding this invalidation level at 63, 66. Now let's take a look on German DAX. German DAX is bullish. We have a very nice price action so far. My opinion, that's a 5-wave movement. But even with this wave 5, okay, this one here should be structured by 5 subwaves. I first thought that we will top out here around 16,000, but since the market is just moving sideways here, look a little bit closely, you can clearly see that this is just a consolidation sideways price action, and we are holding gains here above the previous swing highs. So whenever that's the case, I think that there can be actually more upside because I read this as a corrective price action. Looking at the German DAX on a smaller time frame, this is what I'm looking at. That was a wave one. Notice that wave one was quite extended and big, but still wave three was even more extended. So I really doubt that wave five has ended here with a just minor push here to above wave three. Keep in mind that whenever we have an extended third wave, wave five can be similar in distance compared to wave one, maybe or at least 61.8% whenever we have such a strong, big, and sharp wave one. So I think that there can be a little bit more upside coming here into the wave 5. And more importantly, we have corrective characteristics here. What is the corrective characteristics? Well, whenever you see some choppy price action, bulls bears fight, you see plenty of different spikes to new swing highs, but no real breakout. So that's normally indication of a correction. And when the correction is finished, you can expect that market will resume the trend of the previous first impulse, and the impulsive reaction here was definitely within this wave three. So I'm expecting more upside. More importantly, as I said earlier, this is the key level here, the support level for DAX around 15,700. Okay, so we are holding this level, and that's why I think that there can be more upside coming, right? As long as we are trading above that level. Now let's take a look on Bitcoin. Now I have two counts on Bitcoin. We will not go into the higher time frames. I'll just look on the 4-hour time frame now. We are in uptrend, as you know, since start of the year or so. I think that this uptrend can resume because I assume that dollar later this year will see more weakness. But looking at the 4-hour chart, well, so far we have only 3 waves of a pullback here on Bitcoin. Okay, so if I think that we are in uptrend, which certainly we are for the last few months on cryptos, then obviously I want to read each pullback as a correction, as a corrective movement, especially if I can count 5 waves up. Okay, because it's much easier to be correct in uptrend to expect more upside rather than trying to call a top. So here I'm looking for an ABC pullback. We found the support here at the recent trend line, which is the parallel, by the way, of this corrective channel, but still not really seeing any aggressive bullish rise just yet or breaking resistance levels. So I'm just aware that there maybe can be another retest before we finally see a reversal here. But what it's really going to be important for me is to see 5 waves up from that new low. Okay, and let's say that we break this then 28,000 resistance or maybe even past this upper trend line. Then I would say that we are bottoming, that we are headed back to the upside here, resuming the uptrend. But for now, since we are not seeing these 5 waves up yet, I also have another wave count here, which actually, I have that, which actually shows that we could be maybe here dealing with an ending diagonal in wave C, and we will retest the lows. Okay, so this can also be a valid formation to control trend movement. So you can see here that I'm tracking potential supports here for Bitcoin. Not really, cannot identify yet this pullback as finished, but I think that there can be some interesting developments going forward, especially if, as I said earlier, we can see any kind of a 5 waves recovery back close to 29,000 maybe. Okay, tourists, thank you very much for your attention. Hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to leave us a commentary or press the like button. Have a good day. Bye.